Let us now move on to our interactive topic on AI, shaping a future we can all thrive in, led by Mr. Biju Abraham. Mr. Biju Abraham is a Senior Vice President at Visa. He distinguishes himself not only through leading AI innovations, but also by his active involvement in church and schools, demonstrating a deep commitment to community engagement. His professional excellence and impactful community contributions have been recognized with the Golden Oak Award both in 2016 and 2021, highlighting his remarkable service and dedication. It is truly my honor and privilege to invite Biju Abraham to take over from here. Once again, welcome to each and every one of you. May this meeting be filled with inspiration, camaraderie, and moments that will stay with us long after we part ways. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure to speak to my own church on a topic of AI. There is a lot to learn. As you know, AI has been there from 1953 onwards, so this is nothing new. And Visa has been using AI for fraud detection, which is when you swipe a card or you buy something online, we can figure out whether this transaction is fraudulent or not. And that is primarily done by quickly checking a lot of data using AI, your previous purchases, where you're buying it from, and which computer you're buying from, which store that you're buying from. So we look at all this data very quickly and determine whether the transaction is fraudulent or not. So what is different now is an application called ChatGPT that you might all be using by now. If not, hopefully after this session, you will be able to use more effectively. Unfortunately, this is not a technical session, but there will be few technical slides in the beginning, up to 7 to 11 slides, which I have to cover because you need to understand the basics of AI so that you will start understanding how it is giving you the answer. It is totally different from the way the search engine works that you are all used to in Google and Bing and other search engines. And the most important thing is the responsible AI. And as I start working on this, I realized the importance of ethics and responsibility in using AI. And that is the reason I started speaking about this in school. And I think we have opportunity to do this for all of you to learn, those who are technical, to continue doing this in the community. Then the biggest question that came through the registration is the jobs and the career. So I'll talk a little bit about it. It's too early in the game. As Sachin said, Sachin won't be replaced very soon, but it is too early in the game to really understand how the engineering colleges are going to change their curriculum. It has not happened yet. It is the same class that has been taught 10 years back that is being taught even now, but the professors are adding a little bit additional value in bringing the new generative AI into the picture. And finally, how to future-proof yourself. Whether you are, retired, whether you are currently working, or you are a child in a school, or you are a parent trying to teach your children how to navigate this world. And that's the last section that I will conclude with. So what changed recently is an application called ChatGPT that came up, which caught by storm in less than 2 months. It hit 100 million users globally. So if you see a comparison of the rest of the things that caught up very quickly, like TikTok or Instagram and Pinterest, some of them took almost 6 to 7 years, whereas ChatGPT took only 2 months to get 100 million users across the world. So what is artificial intelligence? It is actually a discipline of study. Artificial intelligence, as I mentioned, it's been for quite some time. It is a discipline of study, which has 2 components in it. One is learning, which is machine learning, and then comes the deep learning that came eventually afterwards. And from deep learning, there is a next level called generative AI, and I'll take you through step by step with some simple examples through this. And application called ChatGPT, it's an application of generative AI, which became accessible to all the users through internet, just like Google search. So that way, everybody who has an internet or a phone can use the ChatGPT application. So in the machine learning world, there were 2 types of learning, which is basically replicating how the human brain learns anything else. So the supervised learning is you show, in this example I'm using cats, dogs, and chickens. So you show the pictures of different cats, different dogs, and different chicken and tell that this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a chicken. So you're literally supervising and labeling them and telling the computer and the system that what it is. So it's a labeled supervised learning. And then you show an unknown picture, it will be able to predict from that, based on that learning, whether it was a cat, dog, or a chicken. So that's how it started first. It's a supervised learning. You label it and you provide the data, and then you predict that data. So a fraud detection that I mentioned in the card is you teach different types of patterns. It says this person, this is his address, this is his phone number, this is his email address, so this is a valid transaction. You keep training them using these valid transactions, and then finally when a fraudulent transaction or a valid transaction can predict that it is good or bad. In the unsupervised learning, it doesn't have the labels. So it has a lot of pictures that looks like birds, a lot of pictures that looks like cats, and a lot that looks like dogs, and the machine can self-categorize them into cats, dogs, and birds, or fish in this particular case. So, and that is the unsupervised learning. And so now again, it goes and learns. You can still go back, send one of these pictures, and it can predict it. After the learning is done, this is called inference and prediction. So you create that model, and then you feed a cat. It will go through that model, and at the end, it will say, yes, this is a cat. Okay? So that's 3 steps here: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and then inference and prediction thereafter. So how does it learn the face of a picture? So I'm taking the face of a human being because this is very popular now in airports and everywhere. They can detect the by facial recognition, and there is AI behind that. So if you take a picture of a face, you can measure the distance between the eyes, you can measure the distance between the ears, you can form a triangle between the eyes and the mouth and the lips. So you can see a lot of parameters, and these are all different vectors, so to speak. And these can be mapped into a graph. Then, I can show you some examples of different graphs that are created, which you will kind of understand looking at those. But this graph is what is stored in the database, by which you can go ahead and predict, you can go ahead and look at that, and then predict what is going to happen, whether this is a cat or a dog or a human being, or which human being it is. So in the world today, there are so many such graphical networks. So one example is the social network. If you take Facebook, you have a friend circle, your close first friends, or say LinkedIn, you have second friends, you have third friend connections, and then, by company you can classify that, all the people in one company, so that's a social network. Similarly, you can classify by economic, the communication network, how the AT&T and Verizon and all those people are connected together. The internet itself is a network, so there are so many examples of graphical networks that are available. And disease pathways, you can figure out what disease, what medicine can cause some reactions. So all these things can be represented by vector, which means a line, which is a distance represents something, which way the line points represents something else. This concept can be applied not only to faces that I mentioned, but also to text. Like you can read the internet, you can predict what is the next word that is going to come. And that's where the generative AI part is coming. So all these learning, and this so far whatever I mentioned, is now creating those patterns, and now we are able to predict the next word. So I'm taking that example here on how to learn to cook. By the way, the images, everything that you have seen on this slide are all generated using AI. So these images are all generating using AI, and we'll show some of those demos also. So first, she goes and starts self-learning, understand the relationship with the different ingredients in cooking, onions, tomatoes, salt, pepper, all those things. Different cooking instructions that includes baking, or sauteing, or whatever the different cooking instructions. So self-learn or learn from books, YouTube and everything, and you start learning all these things. And then she started noticing the pattern, which when you say chocolate and sugar, you're now talking about some baking process or cookie making or something like that. So you can start interpreting what is the next thing that is going to happen using the relationship between these words. Now going back to the learning that I mentioned, And back to the vectors and the graph, for those who have understood that, the distance between a chocolate and a sugar will be shorter than chocolate and onion. So that's how you know that the relationship and the relation to the baking process will be shorter. So that's how you know that when you say chocolate and sugar, it knows the nearest one will be the baking process. Whereas sauteing or onion might be somewhere far away. So that's how you go through that path of network and you will be able to predict the next one. So then the mom helps them to learn by asking to predict what next, right? Like, okay, what do you do now? Do you pour oil or you pour sugar or whatever that is? So you will be able to automatically now start predicting little things. And if that is wrong, the mom can validate the correctness of that prediction. And then you put a challenge, craft a recipe for a chocolate cake. So what happens right now is all these learnings plus the affirmations that have come on how you learn this, the child goes and creates a recipe and cooks it, and it comes with an original recipe. Now, I highlighted the word original recipe because this is a highly controversial topic in the world of AI or responsible AI. People say that it is copied. People say that it is somebody else's material that you are copying and learning and producing it. We talked about words, we talked about pictures. This can be applied to speech or videos. I mean, there's Zora that you might have heard about. You can make videos of your own. So this is ChatGPT. As I mentioned, this is GPT-4. You have GPT 3.5, which is free. And the website is chat.openai.com. And this is another version that is Gemini. This is coming from Google. It was earlier known as Bard. So it's now called gemini.google.com. And this is Copilot, which is copilot.microsoft.com. So all these three are free. ChatGPT 4.0, I think it's around $20 per month. You don't need it because the others are augmented with the latest data. So it is, it's available free for everybody to use. So I'm going to show some examples to start with. I'm asking is who is the vicar of Thoma Church of San Francisco in ChatGPT. I've done the same thing in Copilot and the same thing in Gemini. So here I'm going to upload a one of the Sunday school PDF files. Okay, the subject is the heart of worship. It has a whole bunch of lessons for the whole year for a specific grade. I don't remember which grade it is. So I uploaded this. Now I can go ahead and ask create 10 quiz questions for this lesson. Here there is a 10 questions that I've asked. I can ask 20 questions. I can ask complex ones, and and the teachers can use this for for their classes. So this is just one example. So here, provide a note for John's 50th wedding anniversary, and one of the things about this is called prompting. What I'm doing right now is called prompting, and in the prompt, see, I just asked provide a note on John's 50th wedding anniversary. It has no context on who John is, right? So I can modify this prompt to say, provide a one note, and I cannot write that much into a card. So I'm now being very specific. Provide a one sentence note for John's 50th wedding anniversary. He is a good family friend and a church mate. Okay. So now it will go ahead and create a one sentence, and it has some spiritual meaning around it, and it is one sentence, it's not a big letter, right? The summary is that the more context you give and more granular and more details you give, you get what you want. And understand that these are words, so it has emotions. So you can say be spiritual about it, or you can say be very professional about it and things like that. So you really need to provide that next level of information. What is the context? Who are you is a very important part. Just first, you can start saying that I am a mom, or I am a Sunday school teacher, or whoever it is. You tell that first, and then after that you ask the next question, and then you narrow down the prompt into more specific. You will get the best answer for that. So here I have tomato, onion, okra, cabbage, and seasonings. Which dish can I make? What dish can I make? Please provide details of preparation and cooking. So here it is going and finding, based on those ingredients, it will tell you, give the instructions, and okay. So I'm also going to ask, show me a picture. So now this is called role playing. So that means whatever I am typing in this, it has the context of the previous question and the previous answer. That is very important. If you want to change the context, you have to go ahead and start new here, and that is available in everything. So here also you can do a new chat. And so show me an image of this dish. So now I can say this because it has the context of the previous question that I asked. Now I'm really looking for a nice pretty image, but you will see that the okras all are really finely cut because it's generating that image. It knows okra, and it is generating the image of an okra, and then it is putting all the other things together side by side, and then it is creating that image. There you go. Doesn't look pretty at all. So now I can basically say make this an Indian dish. So it's adding a lot of Indian spicy masalas there. So now show me an image of this meal. The next session is about for the students who does the homework and stuff like that. I mentioned about Gyan Academy, and you will see why you have to give your kids Khan Academy instead of opening up Copilot or ChatGPT 4 for them, because it is easy to just find the answer. The kid is not going to learn anything after that. So I'm going to take an example here. This is a formula. So now it is explaining each and every symbol out of it. Super useful for kids to understand and learn, but I can apply a variable to TJ and it will solve the problem also for the kid. So that's where the problem starts again. So I'm not going to go through the explanation of this. Now, this is another image of a problem statement. This was in my homework. So it is asking you to create a write-up, and it has a formula. It has a lot of context around it. I can just take that whole thing and put it over here and say solve this. It will read from that image using OCR. It will find what the question is, and then it will explain the problem really well, and then it will solve the problem for you. So the person who's using this like this would not have learned anything. For this session, me and Roshan was thinking about what should be the subject of this presentation. So we asked this question. I'm taking a session in my church to introduce generative AI along with some demo. Provide me 5 potential titles for this session. So we kind of mixed some of this and made up the title. So this is another interesting one. What is the lectionary for the April 13th in Thoma Church of San Francisco? Remember, April 13th is a Saturday, so there should not be any lectionary. Okay, there you go. So this one is actually taking us to the official lectionary page, and you will be able to get, so it's basically saying 13th is a Saturday. If I ask for April 14th, I think it will automatically give you.
I just want to go through, I'll take 2 minutes to go through how AI helped me find another one. So the first part of it was 3 categories in which AI can help you. The first one was in refining your resume. The second one is in applications, and then the third is in networking. And the fourth space again is how to crack the interview. That's like mostly on your side, but then some AI applications there as well. So during resume refinement, so I applied to at least 300 jobs. First 50 to 100 jobs, I applied with a very creative, very fancy resume, and I didn't get a single call back. And what I realized was there's something called ATS, Application Tracking System or Applicant Tracking Systems, and these systems use keywords from the job description to filter out your resumes. And currently, everybody has a 100% match resume. They're tailoring their resume towards the job application, and your resume is not even reaching a human being. It's not getting to a recruiter or a hiring manager, so it just goes to a black hole. So then what I tried to do was select 3 to 5 target job descriptions. So what do you want to be? I wanted to be in payments or in data. I wanted to be in product management. I had 11 years of experience overall. So copy all of those job descriptions, paste it into one of the ChatGPT, Gemini, or one of those, one of those AI solutions, generative AI solutions, and prompt it to tell you what the keywords are. And it'll generate a set of keywords or skills that you need to get through to the recruiter. So you find the skills. If there is a skill gap, work towards, getting certified in that skill gap. Just knowledgeable enough to be dangerous, okay? And that also you can use ChatGPT or these other forms of AI which can make it concise, like make a huge book into a paragraph. So that also, it helps there as well. And then add these skills. So put a tab called skills, add all these skills to the bottom of your resume, and then start applying. So then you don't have to go, like at each job, change the resume and apply. That takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. So it's very difficult to do that. So add that skills tab at the bottom. That gets you through to a lot of, through to the ATS systems. Then a biggest factor in job hunt specifically is networking. So use your LinkedIn AI. It'll tell you who are the hiring managers. You prompt it and ask it, tell me or show me profiles that are hiring for so-and-so thing. Or show me jobs that were published within the past 24 hours. And I used to do that every morning, and she would do that filter every evening and apply to these jobs. Another resource is Network AI. It'll tell you how to tailor messages so that you can reach hiring managers directly or recruiters directly. So this overall helped with getting through and getting that call back. So I found that the only way to beat ATS systems or AI systems is to use AI to your advantage.
Take the job description, take this thing. By the way, we have a software for this, but you can take these two, and then you can create a prompt that tells me provide 3 technical questions, 3 leadership questions. So this is basically the AI beating the AI. What she said is exactly what we are doing on the other side. And then I can also say match with this resume and provide me 3 additional questions. So based on it's basically giving technical questions. Could you walk us through this? So exact questions. And now I can take one of the, so this, she could do it herself in her computer. You could take one of those questions and then ask the next prompt, what is the best way to answer this technical question, right? And then it will give you an exact walkthrough of how to, even if it is your example, it is in your resume, so it knows how to answer that, and then you will be able to provide that. So So one of the reasons, I think I kind of introduced this session on the responsible AI. So now how do you use it? I showed only very good cases over here of how you responsibly use generative AI for your benefit. But now think about the headhunter and the recruiter or the interviewer beating each other. Think about a cybersecurity hacker trying to do the same thing with a cybersecurity expert within the company. Bias and discrimination, that means the system does not understand the social values that we have or anybody has for that matter. So it can have biases based on the data that is out there. Depersonalization or being a good digital citizen. So some of these things become very important in the world of AI and responsible AI. Here are some examples. When the face recognition happens, the black community was not getting recognized. Some of them were, there are so many such biases and discrimination that happen. Google Gemini got into PR issues by showing some of the African American Pope and diverse Nazis and stuff like that. So again, a challenging aspect is that AI is not appropriately aligned with our societal values. So I'll quickly go through the jobs of the future. This is in a very early stage because we do not know how things are and the landscape is going to change. Every job will have an impact on the AI. There's no doubt about it, right? Regulations will come, will make it better, but there will be an impact. And the two things I say is, people who do not embrace AI and do not understand and learn AI and catch up with the wave, they are the ones who are going to lose the job. Not because they are a software engineer, not because they are a tech support or anything else, because you didn't embrace AI and understand what it is moving forward. And the second thing is the companies who do not embrace AI, those companies will go belly down, and then also you lose your job. So there are two ways that you use, because you are not either understanding AI or your company is not using AI. So these are the two things I would say. In a very high level, I just classified this. This is a little bit of research behind the scene on this, because there's no real data that is out there that will tell you this. But there are some fundamentals in this. On the technical side, people who are on the technical side, everything related to data, because as you already saw, data is the key. The content is the key. Anything that has the word content or data is very important. That is on the general side also. If you are a content creator, creativity is important. So those are the things that will always stick there, and AI will apply on top of it. This AI is now sitting in a computer in a server somewhere else, and you're chatting with it. Now imagine, I don't know whether you've gone to the Las Vegas Sphere, there are 3 robots inside that where you can talk to, and the robot will speak to you and act, move your hands and all that stuff. So now this can go into a human being or a robot or a car, like autonomous cars, and then think about the multiplying effect of those things. Any field you take, there is AI, and I already talked about the teaching side of the things. Khan Academy is a good example, but teachers have started using this in schools to create homework, and very quickly create homework, very context-sensitive homework also. Now, how do you future-proofing? This is the least technical session in this, because future-proofing yourself has nothing to do with technology and nothing to do with AI. And this is the very fundamentals, and this is where, and I feel this is the main reason I am here and trying to talk about this topic in schools and here. So there are several books around this, and I kind of collected few things that are very important. And Achin already mentioned that adapting to and continuous learning, and that is the first thing that I would put. Embrace lifelong learning. Develop transferable skills. This is very important, and this is where I wanted to introduce Robin, because he was a lawyer, and he has been a practicing lawyer for many years. And he hated his job because it was billing hours and whatnot. He had to work 24/7, so much of stress. So he came to me and we worked together on this. And I knew from him from a child where he was very active in Sunday school, Yuvajana, Sakhyam, youth fellowship. And you look at his qualities, it was communication, leadership, and leading kids and all that stuff, right? Those are transferable traits. You can transfer those skills from a lawyer to an engineer, or an engineer to an AI something. The other part of it you have to learn. of course, but these transferable skills become very important in your child's life. So teach them things that are these fundamentals. There's some critical thinking, problem solving. Don't muck up your math and things like that, because 2 plus 2 everybody can say from memory. 32 times 46 you cannot say, because that's where your AI in your brain works, because now you need to know how to do that, right? So it is important that you teach these skills. Then focus on the human-centric skills. This is creativity again, empathy, leadership, emotional intelligence. EQ was a long talked about topic in the industry for leaders, and it is becoming way more important now. Become data literate. Again, everything is related to data. So understanding the fundamental data element, how to interpret it, how to represent it back, how to graphically present it. So this becomes also very important. Then adaptable to change. I think this is what was mentioned earlier. As things change, change is constant. So how do you decide which direction to go? How do you pick up your career path and be open to some of those things? There is, many people look at career growth as titles or promotions going into the next level. When Nora joined Visa, and I was telling her, in Visa, you're not going to get the next title that easily, because there are only very few titles there. So what is important is your influence that you have within the company. How many people do you know? How important is your project within the company? So these are the things that are important, and not the title or the, of course, salary and title comes automatically once you are focused on the passion that you have, and then you start working towards that. Networking and build connection is saw on that previous slide about the last section about networking. Very important. If you are applying for a job, do not apply and put it on the, click the link and apply there. You find the network that is working in that company, submit the resume through that person or individual. Invest in your well-being, and I think it goes without saying, taking care of, and I'll tell you an example. I've been doing interviews a lot these days. It's a lot of time and effort. It takes 1 hour for me to prepare. It takes 1 hour for the interview. It takes 1 hour after that to create a document, because these are senior positions. For auditing purposes, we need to create big documentation. It took me 3 hours totally just from one day, and if you have two, my whole day is gone. I went ahead and created an AI-based application within Visa to make my job easier. So when I'm doing the interview, all these things I told you earlier, that's free. When I'm doing the interview, I take rudimentary notes, click the button. After the interview, in 5 minutes, I'll get a 5-page document about everything in the interview. It took the rudimentary notes and created well-detailed explanation about what the candidate answered and what the candidate missed. See, that's the beauty of AI. It knows what the candidate missed more than I do. So it now created, and then it will also give me a summary, it will give me a rating, it will characterize the entire interview into technical leadership and give me different ratings. It does all the job for me. The advantage is, where I'm going with this, is that it took 1 hour for me to do that. I can do it in 5 minutes. But what happened is, I have 20 more interviews now. So I end up doing and spending a lot more time doing interviews. So this is where I have to stop. Okay, instead of 1 hour, I took 10 minutes, I can take 6 interviews. I cannot take 20 interviews, but that's what happens to you. So you have to be very careful on how this is going to speed up your life, but you have to have the well-being and the mental will to go ahead and stop when you need to stop working, when you need to take a break, when you need to go for vacation. So how do you guiding your kids is pretty much, the same thing repeated in the other way. The nurture of love of learning, and I mentioned about, some of those characteristics. Embracing challenges as opportunities. Just don't give them the answer. Never give them the answer. Even if they don't learn, it is okay. Just guide them and then see whether they will get it. If not, they will learn the next year. It's not a big deal, but it's very important that you just don't spoon feed them and try to give the answer to all the problems under the sun. And don't give just ChatGPT, go and do ChatGPT. It's not going to solve the problem either, just like I showed you in the previous demos. And develop some of these essential skills. And this is where a lot of our Indian kids suffer, because they just are not exposed to public speaking, not exposed to, even I've never used to speak publicly. So it is important that you find any small opportunity in their comfort zone to go ahead and do those things. Sunday schools, youth fellowships, and, just come and have these kinds of opportunities for them to come and present, and the parents encourage to be here to listen to what the child, there's a lot of things that they learn more than that we know in this world. So I think it is good to hear from them also. It's very important to instill on that digital citizenship. That means, how do you behave on the internet, what is supposed to do and what you are not supposed to do. Have those conversations with them just like you are having a conversation on any other topic. So I already mentioned about the emotional intelligence, and of course lead by examples, because if you are not doing it, they're gonna, whatever you're going to do is what they're going to learn from. So that is also, again, no AI in these two slides, but these are fundamentals and it's very important in the new AI world. And I'll conclude by saying, focus on the values, honesty, integrity, and social responsibility, and instill strong values to guide their decisions ethically. This responsible AI is going to have lawyers, a lot of jobs going to come. So it's a good thing. In my opinion, there are a lot of kids that they just don't want to go to engineering or medicine. But the opportunities that are there right now is tremendous. So thank you for listening, and appreciate the time Yuvajana Sakhyam has given here. If anybody wants the deck, I know there is a lot of well-qualified people here with, capable of taking this. Happy to share the deck, get it to your schools or wherever other associations you have, and spread the word. Okay, thank you.